All right, literally while we're filming the show, we get the official live numbers of the U.S. economy as the recession definition game had been playing out. The Biden administration's fears have come true. So the U.S. economy shrinks for the second straight quarter as the press is saying it, quote, igniting recession fears. In other words, it is technically a recession. Now, all of these definitions just are so annoying to me, and I was talking about this yesterday. Nobody cares whether you're technically in a recession or you're technically in a boom. They care, can you afford something? And are you employed? So to that extent, no, the definition doesn't matter. But to the extent that politically the White House is gaslighting all of us by saying, no, we're not technically in a recession. Actually, we're in the strongest job economy since World War II. Stop. Like, that is just not comporting with the facts whatsoever. The current facts are that the U.S. economy contracted for the second straight quarter, growth falling by 1% approximately, so 0.9% annual rate in the April to June period. That matters because GDP also fell for 1.6 annualized rate in the first 3 months of the year. So you have 2 straight quarters of technical shrinking GDP. Now, the pushback is that we have a low unemployment rate. Now, it does seem, while yes, inflation is high, that consumer spending does not to be in typical recession territory. But that's the whole point as to this economic moment, and the economy that we're living in is very wonky. Arguing whether we're technically in a recession or not really, honestly, doesn't matter. At last time I checked, inflation is sky high on food and on gas. You know, the Biden administration is celebrating the gas is only $4.30 a gallon nationally. The economy's not good. I just don't know why that we can't just lead with that and that be the demarcation point. But unfortunately, the White House has chosen to majorly politicize the, quote, definition of recession when it does them no good. I see no point why they would pick this fight. Well, it's so foolish.
That's a part for me is it's just sort of silly. It's like, this is not helping you all politically to deny the reality that people are living and feeling every day. And it's, you know, filled with a sort of condescension towards the American people who know exactly what is going on in their own lives in real time. Even before you had these new numbers indicating that you had 2 straight quarters of negative GDP growth, you had 58% of Americans saying they thought we were already in a recession. So people have been there, whether you're, you know, parsing the words of the technical definition or not ultimately. And also yesterday we did have the Fed move on, it was what we expected, 75 basis points, which I think in some ways people are like, oh, that's no big deal because they had floated possibly 100 basis points. That'd be a full percentage point interest rate hike. But we had not until last month, we had not had the Fed hike interest rates by that high of a number since 1994. So to do it 2 months straight in a row is really quite exceptional. And I continue to see news coming out of the housing market in particular about just what a dire impact that is having on, you know, new housing starts, which, by the way, we need housing to be built. That's the other piece of this that is really important to remember is that when the Fed is hiking interest rates, that's not only hitting you directly, what they call like dampening demand, which just basically means you don't have money to spend, but it's also impacting companies' ability to invest in things like, you know, new housing construction. So it's also hurting the supply side, which is the exact opposite of what you ultimately want to do. So again, some really disturbing numbers on the GDP growth piece. Last quarter, this was attributable a lot to the fact that companies have been struggling with what their inventory levels should be. You know, they got caught with, you know, their just-in-time practices not having enough, and they had shortages, then they stocked up, then they had too much, and they had surpluses, and so they've been having trouble sort of figuring out the proper inventory levels, and since they've been selling off inventory rather than acquiring more, that's a hit on GDP growth. That was a lot of the story of last quarter.
And right now, personal consumption, as I've talked about, it did grow by 1%, but it actually has decelerated significantly by a full percentage point from 1.8% in Q1. So that actually is less than what was expected for the personal consumption rate, which does mean that we are seeing a deceleration, although it is still growing. That's kind of the full picture. I don't think it damn matters, but White House doing itself no favor by trying to redefine all of this when honestly, they're doing some good things.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.